The Blu Life One X2, released in 2016, and with new cell phones being sold at an alarming rate in a saturated market, the X2 is basically old tech news. So why am I even bothering with this video? The thing is, before getting tied up with a bunch of stuff, this review was the last video I was working on for this channel before I went MIA. And dang it, I have all this unused footage and commentary that I refuse to waste, and people are still buying this smartphone in 2017. So here is my rather late review of the Blu Life One X2. Okay, there are 3 versions of this phone, and I'll list them off to avoid any confusion. Last year we got 2 versions of the Life One X2 at a display size of 5.2 inches. One has 16 gigabytes of storage with 2 gigabytes of RAM, which is the one I have, and the other has 64 gigabytes of storage with 4 gigabytes of RAM. Earlier this year, Blu released the Life One X2 Mini, which is a 5-inch display phone with 64 gigabytes of storage and 4 gigabytes of RAM. Everything else is the same as the original X2 except for the front-facing camera being 3 megapixels less. Price-wise, the 16 gigabyte version is the cheapest and the Mini is the best value. With all that said, let's move on to the pros and cons of the Life One X2, starting with the pros. For $200 or $179, you get 4 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage. In 2016, at that price range, that was unheard of. And in 2017, that's still a sweet deal. You can also add 64 gigabytes of external storage with a micro SD card. But that part isn't really amazing, as other phones allow you to add 128 gigabytes micro SD cards. The big difference is a lot of apps, like all of Google's, are locked to internal storage space, and your Android OS and all its updates use up internal storage space as well. So unless you plan to root your phone, apps that are transferred to your SD card are limited. That's why having a lot of internal storage is great. Also, having 4 gigabytes of RAM, a Snapdragon 430 chipset, a 1.4 GHz octa-core processor with an Adreno 505 graphics processor provides snappy performance. Even with only 2 gigabytes of RAM, the phone is decent. But please note the 430 chipset is the budget end of 2016's Snapdragon octa-core processors. Basically, you're getting Samsung Galaxy S5 performance. The X2 runs games that aren't too demanding decently, with a few frame rate hits here and there, and it runs great for web browsing and instant messaging. The 1080p 5.2-inch IPS display with a respectable 424 pixels per inch is also very nice. Great for enjoying YouTube and other video content. Works well in sunlight too, and this is not going to blow your mind compared to a 4K AMOLED display, which I still think is overkill for a cell phone, but it still looks good to me. The 3000 mAh battery lets the phone last the day with moderate usage, but the 3.0 Qualcomm Quick Charge is great for getting the phone fully charged within an hour. Other minor pros are the 2 available SIM card slots, handy if you need a business and private number. It's also an unlocked phone, which is a pro for me living in Belize, but might be a con for you depending on where you live and who's your telecommunication carrier, as some don't support unlocked phones. The X2 comes with earbuds, a screen protector, phone case, which is a nice touch that Blu has been doing for some time now. At least I know the Blu Life Play, which is several years older than the X2, also came with those items. And a real minor pro, I like the look of the aluminum back of the phone. It reminds me of the older models of the HTC One. You might be thinking, Joe, that sounds great. Time to buy this phone. But hold up. The Life One X2 has some glaring cons. First and foremost, this is a smartphone. The primary purpose of a phone is to make and receive calls. But the speaker on the earpiece sounds low, even on max volume. Over the year of being used, the volume seems even worse now. The speaker for listening to music or videos plays loud enough, but from the outside it looks like you have 2 speakers. Remove the back cover and you will see blue cut corners here, and there's only 1 speaker. Next, the camera. 16 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel selfie, 2.4 aperture. Your selfie camera is optimized with an incredible 8 megapixels for crystal clear high resolution images. I mean, this is on the Blu product page. Look at the image they put there. Oh, look, no, Blu, no. This camera sucks. Look at the images. I tried for some of these. The color is usually washed out, the low light is abysmal. Don't even get me started on the 1080p video quality. Exposure constantly shifting, focusing issues, no image stabilization. The old Blu Life Play with 720p video looked better than this. I can't believe the X2 is using a Sony sensor for this camera. Must be really low end. Anyways, next up is the Fingerprint Scanner. At first, I loved the scanner. The scanner was very responsive to recognizing all the fingers I registered, waking the phone up from sleep almost instantly. Then after a few months, I noticed it started failing a few times, and now it's failing a little bit more. I have a Samsung Galaxy S5, and while I hate the slide-down fingerprint scanner on the S5 versus the gentle touch of the Life One X2, the S5 still works great with fingerprint recognition, and the Galaxy S5 is a much older phone. One big Achilles heel for the X2 and Blu smartphones in general is a lack of OS upgradability. I've been waiting for Nougat or Nougat or Noga, however you pronounce Android 7, but with the release of Android 8 Oreo already here, I don't know if that's ever gonna happen. The X2 might just be stuck at Android 6 Marshmallow. Finally, one minor con is the lack of a USB Type-C port for fast data transfers from the phone to your computer, as the X2 is stuck at micro USB 2.0. So there you have it, the pros and cons of the Blu Life One X2. Oh, I didn't really get into the whole spyware situation that Blu phones were a part of last year, because the Life One X2 was not one of the affected models, but if you're downloading free apps or using Google's apps, I'm sure your data and location information is being recorded somewhere already. Anyways, knowing what I know now about the phone, I personally wouldn't buy it again, especially because of the lacking video quality. But there are a few features to like about the X2. So is the Blu Life One X2 the phone for you? Let me know in the comments below. Well guys, you just watched another one of my vids. If you found it informative or entertaining, smash that like button. And if you're new here, subscribe for more. See you guys next week.